Hey guys, this is Emmanuel, your body code practitioner out here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Just want to do a message today in regards to racism. There's a video that came out recently by one of my favorite rappers of all time, is Childish Gambino, which now has 180 million views of "This Is America," and all I kept asking to myself was, why did this video go viral? I mean, yes, to my buddy Childish Gambino, it was amazing, choreographed video, a ton of symbols everywhere. Everyone probably saw it, but yeah, this is how I was watching it. You know, just like pleasantly. And that is the sound of a gun, and the whole time I'm like, what is going? Why did he shoot that guy? Why did he give him that gun? And why is he dancing? And why is there people running in the back? I mean, how many of you guys were really confused about what was going on in the background? And so I was, it has a lot to do with what's going on in America, but not only America, the world, which is basically a lot of entertainment in front of us. And we tend to get over things very, very quickly. That's the quick summary for me. There's many interpretations, but if you notice, he is the guy that's always up to you, and he's talking about kind of like winning. Look at my Gucci, look at my this, look at my this, look at these people dancing, look at these popular dances. In fact, he's even making fun of the kind of the most recent year, 2 years. The rap has been getting very interesting, where it's like they try to find a dance move to go with it, which is a really great marketing tool, is to like, there's a certain dance, and he actually does a couple of them, 4 or 5 different ones, of like, let's just sing about nothing really, about me becoming rich, and let's just make a dance to it, and let's just forget that we just saw a bunch of people shot at a church, a bunch of people shot. So, you know, we're, as they would say, you know, it's the whole fish in the newspaper trick, where it's like, you know, this newspaper is wrapped around this fish, and there's this horrible odor smell, and it's so bad that maybe we were like, should we even touch the newspaper? And we kind of like, you know, a week later, 2 weeks later, it's like, what's shooting at the church? And so we've become, ready for this, desensitized. And I want to talk to you about 2 major reasons why this world is getting desensitized. And hopefully it'll give you more hope that there's something happening right now, a big shift in the world. Light workers out there are very, very aware of it, that we're trying to go into the next dimension. There's even people that are having symptoms of the next dimension. And I totally respect you that you guys are acknowledging that, and that there's people that are having flu symptoms, or people that are having all these different things. And it's because, you know, people's DNA are being altered. There's so many different things. But at the end of the day, I want to give you guys a major culprit for bigotry and racism. And now, obviously, this is my opinion alone. This is an opinion of Dr. Bradley Nelson, or opinion of Discover Healing, the company. This is my own. But I've just assessed, because recently Dr. Brad, he took me to this, in Arizona, we went to go see some Native American Indians in this rehab facilitation center. And he took me in his plane there. I was nervous the whole time, but don't tell him that. But we flew over there, and we started working with some Native Americans there that were dealing obviously with addictions. And he was releasing ancestral trauma. And sometimes someone with lower back pain, shoulder pain, neck pain would go up there in front of everybody. And then what he would do is he'd muscle test them, ask them certain questions, column A, column B, is it even, odd? He'd find these emotions, and he'd find this, he'd say, oh, this is inherited. And it was funny because 2 or at least 3 of the Native Americans had inherited emotions of heartache, which heartache could be maybe someone passed away, could be relationship tension, it could be a breakup, but some heartache going on. And it was like 25 generations heartache, or 20 generations heartache. And I was just wondering, like, who received a heartache way up there, so powerful that it can get driven down through an inherited emotion and an energy, either through the male or through the female, to the point where the bottom person, which was the Native American in front of us, was dealing with horrible lower back pain. But then it went away in like 5 minutes, and then he was walking around going like, hey, what happened to my back pain? And so physically we are being hurt in our generation. We're dealing with the pains from ancestral emotional torture that came from long time ago. Why does this matter to you? Well, a lot of you who come to this world, who have brought light to this world, and maybe you're empaths or whatever, we're always feeling like, man, this world is so bad, or this world is going through so much evil. This world is whatever. Well, let me tell you why. Because right now we're experiencing some of the heaviest side effects or symptoms of inherited emotions. For example, if you have, and what's interesting is this also woke me up this topic, because when I did a YouTube video, guess what happened? I started talking about the Jewish Holocaust and how, they did the study in 2015 in the Scientific American about how great-great-great-great-grandchildren of Jewish descendants that were in the concentration camp Auschwitz. And one of the first comments was an African-American lady who attacked me heavily, saying, how dare you only talk about them? You don't talk about our race. You're a bigot yourself, blah, 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 blah. And I remember going like, whoa, so much anger, so much resentment, so much bitterness. And the only reason, just if you're watching there, maybe she'll comment on this YouTube video too. The only reason why I didn't mention the African-American race and like sort of the struggles and slavery and anything like that is just because I just happened to read an article that was in 2015 and it just mentioned Jewish history. If it mentioned African-American history, I would have put it in there. But just because it was Jewish, that's where I went, because that's all the studies that I've read. Now, what's interesting is, so I felt really bad. I even apologized and she still gave me the cold shoulder. I'm like, why so bitter? Why so? And it makes perfect sense. What if her great-great-great-great-great-grandmother was dealing with slavery issues, and there was she felt, panic, or she felt bitterness or resentment. It can get passed down to her, and she can, because that's one thing. Inherited, let's say it's like 20 generations. Somebody way up there had a moment where they felt like, I'm not being treated fairly. Maybe it was slavery. Highly likely it was some slavery. And let's say they were African-American descent, and it went all the way down to her. So she was literally born with a heavy resentment energy. It's not just a regular one. It's like when it's multiple generations, it's heavy on you. It's something that you can easily fall into: resentment. If a new topic of racism comes in to her, let's say around 8 or 9 years old, and she can easily feel resentment, guess what? She feels resentment with that topic and with the people involved in that topic. If she studies more about the history, she'll have even more resentment towards what? Towards her history and towards the people that treated her great-great-great-great-great-grandmother that certain way. But then let's add some more resentment on there. If she received it inherited from her mother, guess what? Feels, let's say hers is 80 generations. Her mother is the 79th generation. She also easily feels resentment. So when she's in the womb, guess what? Is it possible that maybe her husband didn't treat her right? Resentment. Is it possible that her job didn't treat her right in the trimester time? More resentment, trapped emotions. Guess where that goes? To the baby. So she doesn't only have an inherited of the 80th generation, she has more resentment from her mother who experienced resentment. It's called absorbed emotions. What if she grew up a little bit, her mom raised her and her mom went through some very hard times and she felt resentment at 1 year old, 5 years old, 7 years old. This is not the baby. This is just the mother. You can actually absorb energies from your mom. And so she probably absorbed resentment. Then she grows up and she has her own version of resentment. Then pile up that resentment on there. So it's inherited, prenatal, and then her own trapped emotions stacked on resentment. And then people wonder why you want to mess with me. I have, it's time for me to protest. Or you want to mess with me. I have a gun and you're not going to like it. You want to mess with me. I'm going to attack your family. I'm going to attack your race, because it's built in. And so the reality is no one's felt racist. And at the end of the day, went to sleep and said, I feel so good about what I did today. They have problems sleeping. They're not happy with the current circumstance, and I understand that. I'm not trying to put down racism. I'm just saying that these things don't help out. And so if you ever look into like, how can I really break us free from resentment, would be forgiveness. And the way we do that is release what's inherited, what's prenatal, and what's current of that certain emotion. And little by little, what comes is forgiveness. Then what happens with forgiveness happens with peace. You can acquire more peace if you forgive. Forgiveness isn't to give peace to the other person. Forgiveness is to give peace to yourself. Forgiveness is not to open the door, as they say, of someone else's jail cell. It's you're in the jail cell if there is no forgiveness. So you have to open up that cell, you have to have more peace with your past. And that comes with releasing that. So that's one thing, is trapped emotions are keeping us in bigotry and racism racism. And it's time we acknowledge those instead of just seeing it like this will always be the state that we're in this world. This will always be racism. Always. Well, yeah, if we allow it to be that way, if we start getting the word out there about the emotion code and epigenetics and inherited emotions, we can actually clean up what our ancestors brought to us before. So it's time to wake up and that there is a solution right now, right in front of you. If you haven't read the emotion code book, you need to go read it. If you haven't released some inherited emotions of yourself, find a practitioner and release it. And so I'm very, very passionate about ending racism, ending bigotry. We don't need that anymore. My mother dealt with it. She came from Peru. She dealt with a ton of it. Sexism, my mother dealt with it as an oncologist in Kaiser Permanente. It's like this stuff is real, and it really affected our lives here. And Childish Gambino just did one thing to affect the whole world awareness that we're still kind of desensitized. Here's the second thing that brings desensitized situation would be our heart wall. What's a heart wall? Well, as you receive heart trauma in your life, whether it's sexual abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, different thing like any type of abuse in your life that for whatever reason affects your heart, Dr. Bradley Nelson found out that you're putting these layers over your heart. Now watch this. If you put these layers over your heart, you start stacking them, what happens is anxiety, depression, PTSD. If you have all those three things combined with your heavy, heavy resentment, now you have someone very, very dangerous going out there, and they might be, getting into drugs, or they might go, into, gangs, or they might go, you have these things because they want to, they're looking for ways to feel. And what happens is that one of the biggest symptoms of the heart wall is, you guys ready? It's numb heart. So when people, when you do something like, I don't feel much, or when someone does something to you, I don't feel that. So now imagine having inherited resentment stacked, inherited prenatal, your own resentment. And on top of that, you have a numb heart where you don't feel. That's where racism, bigotry could definitely happen even more. So where would we begin? Dr. Bradley Nelson says, I wish I can reach certain politicians. And what did he say? Clear their heart wall. Because they won't be numb. They'll feel love. They'll give love. It'll be different. It'll be a different world if we release all that heart trauma so we can start feeling again, so we know what we're actually doing to our brothers and sisters. I thought this was going to be a 5-minute video. I was totally wrong. The reason why it's this long is because I care about our human race. I don't know if you can tell I'm very passionate about this, but it's really just two things: trapped emotions and heart walls. And there's other multiple energies that could be causing you to continue racism. There's a big one called auto-suggestion, or basically there's something, if I look here in the body code, we look at energies and we look at mental, there's something called, it's called post-hypnotic suggestions. Post-hypnotic suggestions is listening to a lot of music of like, I'll kill you, I'll kill you, I'll kill you, I'll kill you. And now you have programming in your mind of like, yeah, I'll kill you, no big deal. Or you're watching a lot of violent video games. There's a thing in the body code that talks about how now you've become desensitized to these thoughts. You can actually even have so many suggestions in your mind that it actually in inverse, what you think is good is now bad, and what you think is bad is good. What you think was murder was bad, all of a sudden little by little murder is good. And that's called post-hypnotic suggestions. And that is in the body code. It's an energy thing that needs to be released. You need to find the exact statements made and you need to release those. That also adds to racism and bigotry. What we're listening to or what we're watching all the time does affect us. And so, but I think the major ones, like I said, heart wall and these inherited, these trapped emotions that of resentment and bitterness that kind of keep us resentful towards different areas of our people, our culture. We need to elevate our consciousness by increasing our vibrations, by releasing the energies that are holding us back. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of enlighten you guys that if you're like, there's no hope for this world, there's hope. We just need to get educated. We need to realize that we're emotional, energetic beings, and we need to release this. And if Dr. Martin Luther King knew about this, if Malcolm X knew about this, if anybody who's had an advocate for their race knew about these trapped emotions, they would be like, it makes sense. We have these emotions, and a lot of the actions that are taking place that of violence are emotionally driven. The violence is a byproduct of these energies that we can't control. And so hopefully this enlightens some of you guys, and hopefully this gives you hope. If you haven't read the emotion code, then it's time for you to read it and then look into it and see if maybe there's something holding you back from loving the human race. then find a friend, then find a friend, then find a friend. So hopefully this resonates with you, and tag someone that might appreciate this, like, someone who's given up hope in this world. Don't do that. It's just, there's reasons why we're here. There's reason why we're at low frequency right now, but we're changing. The world's changing, but we need your help. So again, hopefully you appreciated this message. Comment below what your thoughts are on this, and would love to, one day, just kind of hear all your comments. I'll comment back, and you can put them on Facebook, on YouTube. And so this is Emmanuel, your body code practitioner out here in Vegas. And again, let's do something today to move our frequency forward. Let's acknowledge this message, read the emotion code book, work with yourself first, and then we can change the world. So with that, talk to you soon. Take care. Bye, guys.